This video features the best brawlers you need to be playing in the December ranked season. These brawlers typically aren't banned, so if they are open, you need to be picking them. Alright, so the first brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Barley. Now, Barley is one of the best throwers in the meta because he is great for area control. Granted, his projectiles are more on the slower side, so it's a little bit easier to dodge, but he has the potential to deal a lot of damage if he connects. He has even better area control now thanks to his hypercharge, which we'll get into in a little bit. Now, in this super aggressive meta, you need to be running Barley's sticky syrup mixer gadget. With this gadget, he can still have a chance to fend off aggro brawlers by slowing them down and using all of your ammo immediately. Even if he can't kill the enemy, hopefully when the enemy is stuck in the sticky syrup, your teammates can help you take them down. Now, indisputably, something that has shot Barley up in the meta recently is his hypercharge bottled up rage. When activated, Barley's super throws 3 big bottles of liquid that covers a larger area than his normal super. This hypercharge has helped shoot Barley up in the meta and helping him be one of the most versatile throwers you can run inside of rank this season due to the current map pool. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Buster. Now, Buster is such a great brawler to play inside of ranked. In Masters lobbies, you will see a lot of people picking Buster in maps like Canal Grande, Open Business, Hard Rock Mine, and many more. Any map where there are a lot of walls and bushes that helps Buster get closer to the enemies is going to be a good map to pick him. He's going to be a great mid to late pick since he isn't super broken, but he can be strong against and with the right matchups. Now, when you're playing Buster, I really recommend that you're trying to close down the distance between you and the enemy as much as possible. As Buster's main attack does significantly more damage up close than farther away, you need to take advantage of bushes, obstacles, or thin choke points to ambush and defeat enemies. Using his super will help you walk up closer to the enemies, and that is when you can use your slow-mo replay gadget to pull them in. Now, speaking of his slow-mo replay gadget, that is probably one of the best gadgets in the entire game. The reason being is that slow-mo replay can serve multiple different purposes. You can disarm the enemy to cause them to drop the ball in Brawl Ball. You can protect your teammates by pulling enemies in that are trying to chase them down. You can even use your gadget to pull enemies towards you so that you can deal more damage, since Buster does more damage the closer he is to the enemies. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Max. Now, when you're playing Max, you need to try and use your super onto your teammates, especially when your comps are built around Max's speed. Special comps such as Gene Max Buster or Max Double Tank comps are prime examples of when you need to be cycling up your supers to support your teammates. It's also better to super when your team has ammo and health, as it's way harder to get value when you are all low or have no ammo. Now, eventually, as you get better with Max, you'll learn that in specific scenarios, it's better to just use your super onto yourself so you can make a play. For example, if you notice that there's an opportunity that you can capitalize on to try and put your team into a position to win, you need to make that split-second decision to just go for it before that window closes. Or there could be times where you are low on health and need an escape, right? This is when you can use your super to hopefully make a getaway, but I still recommend getting as much value as possible with every super, so try and use it onto your teammates when you can. Now, one of the main reasons why Max is better than she's ever been before is because of her hypercharge unlimited energy. When activated, Max's next super throws an energy drink to herself and all allies, regardless of whether they are in range of her super or not. This is great because all targeted allies will receive a movement speed increase, but it will also grant a 25% supercharge if the energy drink hits them. This will make Max's team more aggressive, more stronger, and elevate every single brawler you pair up with Max's hypercharge. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Nita. Now, one of the best parts about Nita and why she's so good in rank is because of Bruce. Bruce has moderately high health, and this allows Nita to create her own tank. It's amazing because the bear distracts enemies and absorbs fire, protecting Nita and giving her a chance to deal damage. When facing a brawler with non-piercing attacks, place Bruce a few tiles in front of you to make them waste their ammo on him, and then during which you can use Bruce to effectively finish them off. Now, if you're facing against short-range brawlers like tanks and assassins in a draft setting, this is where you need to be using Nita and running her Bear With Me star power. With this star power, Nita recovers 1040 health whenever her bear hits an enemy brawler, but also when Nita deals damage to an enemy brawler, her bear regains 1040 health as well. This is great because when you're being pressured by short-range brawlers, the chances of Bruce and you hitting the enemies are much higher, thus allowing both of you to heal up and deal damage at the same time. Now, aside of ranked, I would recommend playing Nita in Heist because that's her best game mode, but I understand that sometimes you might be playing Nita in a different game mode just because of the way the draft is being played out. But something that will make Nita better no matter what the game mode is running her Hypercharge Hyper Bearing. With this Hypercharge, Bruce will be given a 15% movement speed buff and a 20% increase in his health as well. I mean, just having a tankier Bruce that moves faster will cause the enemies to panic and cause immediate pressure in whatever game mode you are playing in. Also, the stat buffs you gain with Nita can be used to keep Bruce alive and help you just cycle up that next super. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Stu. Now, probably one of the best things about Stu is using him to multi-dash. If you guys don't know how to multi-dash, just start off with your super, and right before your main attack lands, you want to use your super, attack, and then use your super again. This is what you call a double dash. Now, if you can do it even faster and you have 2 bars of ammo, you might be able to pull off a triple dash. Now, to pull off a triple dash, you need to use your main attack and super in this order. Main attack, super, main attack, super, main attack, and then super again. But another reason why Stu is going to be so good inside of ranked is because he's great at chipping away at the enemies from a distance. Stu can effectively poke by using his super, his fast unload speed, and his attack's fast super charge rate. He can fire a shot at an enemy, then dash backwards to avoid their counterfire. This recharges Stu's super if the shot lands, which allows him to continuously poke, and then once the enemy is low on health, you can use your super to get close to them and burst them with your attacks to finish them off. Now, no matter what, when you're playing Stu, you always want to have a super saved up in your back pocket. Since Stu charges his super with only 1 shot, despite being the assassin with the slowest movement speed, he can easily escape with his super in dangerous situations. This makes him highly mobile and allows him to dodge enemy fire with ease. Stu can use his super to dodge an attack once, get another hit that recharges his super, and then use his super again to escape unharmed. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Penny. Now, Penny was already a pretty good brawler because of the buff to her attack range. A couple of months ago, Penny's attack range was increased from 8 tiles to 8.67 tiles, which helps a bit more against the mid to longer range brawlers. Granted, it's still not really good and the projectiles aren't the fastest, but Penny is the strongest she's ever been in a very long time. And I gotta be honest here, when you're playing a super annoying Penny aside of ranked, I mean, they can be extremely toxic to deal with. I mean, Penny is a brawler that forces the enemies to not group up and stay apart from each other if they don't want to get destroyed by the splash damage. This makes facing Penny already annoying to deal with when stacking on top of the mortar, aiming at the nearest enemy and leaving the ground on fire. Penny is definitely an underrated controller within the game, and it's about time she's risen into the spotlight. But the true reason why Penny is so good, not just inside of ranked but in the meta in general, is because of her hypercharged new lobber. Penny deploys a bigger cannon that shoots 2 cannonballs at a time instead of 1. This makes Penny even more frustrating to deal with, since having 2 cannonballs covering the map instead of 1 makes it even easier for Penny to deal damage, get kills, and gain control of the map. It's more important than ever before to get that mortar down as quickly as you can, because it can annoy the hell out of so much people. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Surge. Now, I know before the balance changes, Surge was probably banned quite a bit, but after his nerfs, he's more balanced out now. They ended up decreasing Surge's health from 3300 to 3000 health, which doesn't seem like a lot, but think about it, whenever a brawler receives health nerfs inside the game, it usually results them in dropping off at least a little bit in the meta. Don't get me wrong, Surge is still a top 10 brawler in the game, but it's a little bit easier to take him down now. Now, in situations where you need to be picking Surge is if you're playing on maps or game modes where there's lots of walls and bushes. The reason I say this is because Surge can use his super to leap over walls and surprise enemies that could be trying to hide and heal up from him. This can be very effective, especially against brawlers like throwers who have no shot surviving Surge from a close range. Now, something that's still good about Surge that wasn't nerfed in the recent set of balance changes is his hypercharge level 5. When activated, Surge upgrades to a 4th stage, giving his shots even more range than stage 3 and causing them to split every time. This hypercharge goes nuts because it's basically Surge like how he was upon his official release, he can just shoot in the general vicinity of where the enemies are and easily hit them for huge damage, like it's no skill at all. But okay, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Gus. Now, probably one of the best things about Gus is using his super to carry his entire team. If you're playing with a bunch of randoms, then you can use your super onto yourself every time and just increase your own survivability, so you can try your best to cause pressure by yourself. Even though Gus is a support brawler, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to win, especially inside of rank with these terrible randoms. Now, if you think about it, sometimes using your super onto yourself is the best way to get the most amount of value possible out of his spirit animal star power. Now, whoever you use your super onto will be able to deal an additional 25% damage for the next 5 seconds, and that can come in clutch in whatever game mode you are playing in. You can use your super onto yourself, gain that additional shield, and then go aggro to defeat a weak enemy with the additional damage buff. But okay, one of my favorite parts about Gus's entire kit is probably running his cookie popper gadget. When activated, all spirits on the map explode, dealing 2240 damage to the enemies. This is such a great way to defeat the enemies that are lower than 2240 health when that ghost spawns next to them. As soon as that ghost spawns next to the enemy, you need to be spamming your gadget button so you instantly pop that ghost and defeat the enemy. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Byron. Now, since Byron doesn't have a lot of health, you need to use his long range main attacks to keep your distance. Now, to take advantage of Byron's range is to chip away at the enemies with this stacking tick damage while also dodging their fire. Once they're low on health, you can use your super to finish them off. The great thing about his super is that it's a lobbing attack, so it can be thrown a good distance, but more importantly over walls and obstacles if you need to. Now, if you think about it, Byron is actually an easier sharpshooter to play than some of the other sharpshooters in the game. Since his main attack range is long but his cooldown is slow, sharpshooting skills such as aiming ahead of the enemy's direction of travel are needed to utilize Byron pretty well. However, with his fast projectile speed, aiming with Byron is easier than with other long-range brawlers such as Brock or B. Now, Byron's going to be such a good brawler to run in ranked, but even in the current meta as well, I mean, he is just so good still. With Byron's long range, high tick damage, and healing abilities, I mean, it truly helps him shine in team events. This is mostly because he can consistently heal his teammates while they work towards the event objective, with the healing giving more ease. In addition, he's also effective at preventing the enemies from healing, making it easier to cripple the enemy team. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Daryl. Now, probably one of the best things about Daryl is going to be his super, right? Now, one of the ways you can use Daryl's super is to escape dangerous situations. It's always great when you can use your super to roll away and make sure that you are staying alive to maintain control of the map. It's also worth noting that you can increase the range of his roll if you happen to roll over water. This is vital when escaping enemies, as the water could help in getting away from an engagement where you could have possibly have died. Now, probably one of the more common tactics of using Daryl's super is to roll and get closer to the enemies. If you are struggling to get within range of the enemies since they all outrange you, using your super to quickly get within close proximity of your target can be the perfect opportunity for a kill. Of course, this is probably the most popular method of using Daryl's super, since this makes him such a good rolling assassin. Well, anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed that video, I highly recommend you guys go check out this video right here.